Have you ever walked into a room and felt an invisible chill, even though no one said a word? Like something or someone was subtly wrong, yet you couldn't quite point to why. Sometimes the most dangerous people don't look like villains. They smile, they compliment you, they offer to help, and yet deep inside you feel drained every time they're near. What if I told you that evil rarely shouts? It whispers, it charms, and by the time you notice, it's already rewired your peace, your confidence, and your sense of reality. You see, not every harmful person shows up with a scowl or a villainous laugh. In fact, most don't. They don't need a reason to hurt you because, for them, causing harm isn't a decision. It's a habit, a way of being. They won't overpower you physically or raise their voice. No, their weapon is subtlety. They chip away at your peace of mind like water eroding stone, not all at once, but slowly, steadily, until you're unsure of what's real anymore. In Stoic philosophy, we're taught something essential: to guard our mind like a fortress, to protect our inner peace, and most importantly, to recognize when someone's energy feels off, because by the time you clearly see their intentions, it might already be too late. But here's the truth: evil always leaves behind traces. It might be disguised, but it's never flawless. There are signs, little red flags waving in the background, hoping you don't notice. But if you do, you gain the power to protect not just your peace, but your very sense of self. In this video, I'll guide you through 6 powerful red flags that reveal the toxic manipulators hiding in plain sight. When you learn to recognize these signs, you don't just dodge pain, you reclaim control, clarity, and strength. Before we begin, if you're serious about protecting your peace and building an unshakable mindset, consider subscribing to the channel right now. Let's get into it. 1. They constantly lie or twist the truth. Truth is the foundation of trust. Without it, relationships collapse like a house built on sand. And yet an evil person doesn't just bend the truth, they relish in breaking it. Why? Because deception isn't a last resort for them. It's a lifestyle. They lie not because they have to, but because they want to. At first, the lies are subtle, a small exaggeration, a detail slightly off. You might brush it aside. Maybe I heard wrong. But over time, the web thickens, the lies multiply, and then they start gaslighting you. One day, they'll make a bold statement with full confidence. Days later, when you repeat it back, they'll deny it ever happened. If you challenge them, they'll turn it on you. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. You always twist my words. And slowly doubt creeps in. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I am overreacting. That's the trap. A true manipulator doesn't just deceive you. They remake your reality. They twist your memories, confuse your instincts, until one day you don't know which way is up. It's like being lost in fog that they control. Now ask yourself, how many times could they have simply told the truth, but chose to lie instead? Even when honesty cost them nothing, they still picked deceit. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. And it's the first red flag you must never ignore. In the previous part, we explored how some people lie not just to avoid trouble, but to control others. They twist the truth to manipulate your thoughts, emotions, and perception. But that's only the beginning, because when lies are no longer enough, they turn to a far more destructive tool: conflict. They love conflict. A toxic person often needs no clear reason to cause trouble. All they need is an opportunity. For them, lying isn't just a way to avoid consequences, it's a demonstration of power. They make up stories, twist words, and distort facts, not because they're forced to, but simply because they can. And the most disturbing part? They feel no guilt. A Stoic understands that clarity of mind is essential for a virtuous life. If someone constantly manipulates the truth, they aren't just dishonest, they are dangerous. Every interaction with such a person becomes a psychological chess match. You never know if what they say is real or just another manipulation, and each encounter leaves you confused, drained, and mentally exhausted. But that's exactly what they want, because a confused mind is easier to control. So if someone in your life consistently behaves this way, don't dismiss it as just a bad habit or a quirky personality trait. It's a red flag, waving right in front of you. The longer you tolerate their deception, the deeper they worm their way into your mind. They gain control over how you feel, think, and see the world. Take a moment to ask yourself, do you often doubt your own judgment around this person? Do you feel uneasy, like something always feels cared off? If your answer is yes, take a step back, protect your mind, and most importantly, trust your instincts, because an evil person will never hand you the truth. You must see it for yourself. They thrive on conflict. Another unmistakable sign you're dealing with someone whose intentions are far from pure is their strange obsession with chaos and discord. While most people seek peace, choosing to resolve issues with kindness, or at least keeping their distance from trouble, these individuals seem magnetically drawn to drama. They're like moths to a flame, plunging into conflict over and over again, not for resolution, but for the thrill of disruption. And the most unsettling part, they're subtle about it. They plant seeds of division quietly, orchestrating drama like a stage director who revels in every act of the play. In the spirit of Stoic philosophy, we recognize that conflict is often beyond our control, but how we respond, our inner calm, our discipline, that belongs to us. Yet these conflict seekers aim to shatter that calm. They don't just exist in drama, they feed on it. They amplify misunderstandings, fuel tension, and stand ready to pour fuel on the fire at any moment. Sometimes they don't even need a reason. The chaos itself is their goal. Imagine a peaceful family gathering. People are laughing, sharing memories, enjoying good food. And then one calculated comment from this person sparks an old argument between two relatives. Within seconds, the warmth vanishes. The room turns cold and tense. You glance over and see them quietly standing in the corner, eyes glinting with satisfaction. It's as if they've been waiting for this moment, carefully planning the disruption for maximum emotional impact. They don't merely witness conflict, they engineer it. They whisper subtle doubts into people's ears, stir up forgotten resentments, cast suspicious glances, all while pretending to be innocent. But beneath that mask, they're architects of chaos, and you, if you don't notice the pattern, will become a piece in their game. In the previous part, we uncovered the nature of those who don't just enjoy chaos, they thrive on it, feeding off the conflict and pain of others. But there's an even more insidious tactic they often use, one that's harder to detect and even harder to resist: mental manipulation. They make you feel like you're always at fault. Have you noticed? A mind that constantly doubts itself is a mind that's easily controlled. Toxic individuals understand this deeply, and so they don't need chains or threats. All they need is your growing uncertainty about yourself. That's how they employ one of the most dangerous forms of manipulation: gaslighting, subtly making you question your memory, your emotions, even your sense of reality. At first, it's barely noticeable. You express frustration, they scoff, you're overreacting. You recall an event, they insist, that never happened. You bring up something hurtful, they said. They respond, wow, you're too sensitive. Bit by bit, in situation after situation, you begin to second-guess yourself. Did I really get it wrong? Maybe I'm too emotional. Is it actually my fault? And that's exactly what they want you to believe. Someone who truly cares about you will listen, even if they disagree. But a toxic person isn't looking for understanding, they're looking for control. Their goal is to make you feel confused, unstable, and eventually dependent on them to tell you what's real. Picture this. You're in a disagreement. You clearly remember the conversation, the tone, even the exact words, but they deny it ever happened. They twist the details, rewrite events, and make you feel foolish for even bringing it up. Suddenly, you're no longer defending your point. You're defending your sanity. Stoic philosophy teaches us to trust reason, to see things as they truly are, and to remain steadfast in what we know to be true. But gaslighting is crafted to tear you away from that truth, to make you doubt even the clearest memories and the firmest instincts. The most frightening part, it's not that you lose trust in others, it's that you begin to lose trust in yourself. And once that happens, they hold all the power. In the last section, we uncovered how manipulators twist your reality and use confusion as a weapon, pulling you away from your inner truth. But their manipulation doesn't stop there. Sometimes they take on a different mask, the mask of the eternal victim. They play the victim in every situation. Life is hard. No one escapes it untouched. Strong individuals understand this. They face challenges head-on, accept their flaws, learn from their missteps, and carry their burdens with quiet strength. But toxic people, they take a very different route. To them, victimhood is not just a feeling. It's a shield and a sword, a way to avoid responsibility while controlling the people around them. Whenever something goes wrong, it's never their fault. They blame the world, their childhood, bad luck, their ex, their boss, anyone but themselves. And they wear their pain like a badge, demanding your sympathy instead of your honesty. At first it might seem harmless, just someone who's had a rough time needing support. You might even feel compassion for them, but soon a pattern emerges. No matter how much help you give, their situation never improves. Their problems? Always worse than anyone else's. Their suffering? Somehow more real, more dramatic, more deserving of constant attention. And before you know it, your empathy becomes a trap. You feel tethered, constantly trying to rescue them, constantly trying to soothe them. But they don't want solutions. They want sympathy, and the moment you try to set a boundary, just one small line to protect your own well-being, they snap back with accusations. How could you do this to me? You're hurting me. Suddenly you're the bad guy. Your reasonable request becomes an attack. Their refusal to grow becomes your fault. It's not just exhausting, it's psychological warfare. They twist the narrative so skillfully that you begin to question yourself. Was I too harsh? Am I being selfish for needing space? Maybe I'm the problem after all. But no, you are not the villain in their story. You're just being written into a script you never agreed to play. This isn't mere self-pity. This is emotional control. The Stoics remind us we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. And when someone refuses to take ownership of their life, they become a danger to yours. Ask yourself, are you always making excuses for them? Do you feel guilty for setting the most basic boundaries? Have you poured energy into fixing their chaos, only to realize they never wanted peace, only pity? If any of this feels familiar, it's time to pause. You are not responsible for saving someone who won't help themselves. You are not obligated to stay loyal to someone who manipulates your kindness. And you certainly do not have to stay in a relationship built on guilt, blame, and emotional blackmail. A person who clings to their victimhood and uses it as a weapon is not just toxic. They are a threat to your peace, your balance, and your mental well-being. Recognize the pattern, refuse the role they assign you, and most importantly, walk away. We just explored how toxic people use victimhood to manipulate emotions and avoid responsibility. But there's another method, more subtle yet just as destructive, they use to break your spirit. Constant, quiet criticism that chips away at your self-worth like tiny needles piercing your confidence. They don't hurl blatant insults. Instead, they deliver carefully placed comments that always highlight what you lack, never what you've achieved. An evil person rarely celebrates your victories. No matter how hard you work, how much you grow, or how far you come to them, it will never be enough. If you succeed, they downplay it. If you improve, they move the goalpost. And if you dare to feel proud of yourself, they'll be right there to remind you of everything you could have done better. Picture this. You spend weeks pouring your heart and soul into a project. You finally achieve what you set out to do. Excitedly, you share your success with someone close, only to be met with a cold shrug, a lifeless, "That's fine, but you could have done better." Or worse, they compare your success to theirs, making sure you know they've done more, done better, and always will. This isn't constructive feedback. This is calculated erosion. A Stoic understands that external validation is fleeting, but even the strongest mind can be worn down by constant negativity. Evil people understand this even better. They don't want you to grow, they want you to question yourself, to doubt your worth. They plant seeds of insecurity so that over time, you start believing their voice more than your own. The most dangerous part, while they diminish your achievements, they glorify theirs. They boast about their success, their superiority, always putting themselves above you. It's not just about making you feel small, it's about making them feel powerful. But here's what you must remember. Their words do not define you. The Stoics teach us to measure ourselves by our own principles and progress, not by the opinions of those who seek to break us. So if someone in your life constantly criticizes you, but never lifts you up, ask yourself, what do they gain from this? And more importantly, what are you losing by keeping them around? No one has the right to make you feel unworthy. Recognize the pattern. Protect your mind. Never let someone else's bitterness become the measure of your worth. Step away from those who only seek to diminish you. Your growth is not theirs to control. They show no empathy or compassion. If there's one trait that separates the virtuous from the wicked, it is empathy. The ability to share in another's joy, to feel another's pain, to see the humanity in those around us. This is what binds people together. But an evil person, they feel nothing. Not for you, not for anyone. Their indifference is chilling. You could be drowning in grief, breaking under emotional weight, and they would stand there unmoved. And if they do acknowledge your pain at all, it's with a detached coldness. Well, life's unfair. Or worse, they twist the moment to make it about themselves, steering the conversation away like your emotions are just an inconvenience. Imagine suffering a deep personal loss, the death of a loved one, a painful failure, a heartbreak. You turn to them, hoping for a kind word, a trace of understanding. But instead you're met with a blank stare, a dismissive shrug, or a cold response like, "It happens to everyone." In that moment, their lack of humanity becomes impossible to ignore. The Stoics teach us to temper our emotions and remain strong through adversity. But they never taught us to be cold. True strength does not mean lacking empathy. It means acting with both wisdom and compassion. But evil people confuse apathy with power. They don't see others as human beings, but as tools, things to be used, discarded, or ignored when no longer useful. Their emotional emptiness creates a suffocating presence. When you're around them, you don't feel seen. You feel invisible. You don't feel understood. You feel erased. We just talked about the chilling absence of empathy, how it makes you feel invisible, unheard, unimportant. But that's only the beginning of their plan. Because once you start to feel isolated, they know they've gained power over you. That feeling of being alone, like no one truly sees or understands you, that's exactly what they want. Isolation makes you easier to control. But here's what you need to remember. You are not small and you are not invisible. If someone constantly brushes off your emotions, ignores your struggles, or treats your existence as if it doesn't matter, they're not being subtle. They're revealing who they truly are. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them. A person without empathy isn't just emotionally distant or bad at expressing feelings. They're dangerous. Because if they don't care about your pain, they won't think twice about being the one who causes it. Recognize the pattern, guard your spirit, and don't waste precious time hoping for warmth from someone who has none to give. The absence of empathy isn't just a flaw, it's a warning sign. Walk away before their emptiness consumes you too. I know this might feel like a lot to take in. It's not always easy to recognize these red flags, especially when emotions are involved and you still want to believe in the good within someone. But understanding these signs can save you from years of emotional damage, manipulation, and self-doubt. Evil people don't always come with flashing lights or loud alarms. Sometimes they slip quietly into your life, slowly eroding your confidence, your peace, and your sense of self. But here's the truth. You don't owe your energy to those who drain you. The moment you start to recognize these patterns, you have a choice to step back, to protect your well-being, and to reclaim your power, even if it's hard, even if it means letting go of someone you once trusted. Remember this, your peace is always worth more than their presence. If this video resonates with you, I'd love to hear your story. Have you ever encountered someone like this? How did you deal with it? Or maybe you're still navigating that experience. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. And if you're on a path of self-growth, self-protection, and emotional mastery, make sure to subscribe. We've got so much more to explore. How to recognize toxic patterns, build resilience, and take full command of your mindset. Until next time, take care of your heart, guard your mind, and always trust your instincts.